Christina here for Card Player TV, and I'm here with Jimmy Fricke, who competed in Day 1A of the main event. And you finished with a pretty good stack. Tell me about right when you got to the table and you're about to play your 2009 main event. What are you looking at the table as far as, players to pick on? What were you thinking?
Well, I showed up a little bit late. I didn't want to have to pull a Phil Hellmuth, but I decided to. Last year, the beginning of the tournament was so crazy. I really didn't want to be there for like the singing and all that stuff. So I decided to show up a little bit late. I showed up about 20 minutes, half an hour late. And right when I sat down, I saw that I didn't recognize a single person except for the one person in the 9th seat, who's kind of a friend of mine. He's an online player and did pretty well in the series this year. Yeah, so I was pretty happy. I figured about an average table draw. It didn't seem like anyone was particularly really spazzy, but no one was really that. I wasn't intimidated by anyone for sure. I was in the 2 seat too, so I had position on the one guy I knew. After a little bit, another online player, PB Drunks, got moved to our table. In general, the whole day I stayed on the same table the whole day, and all throughout the day it was pretty good. I wasn't really scared of anyone at all.
So in a big buy-in tournament like this, where if you've got some beginners, they're going to be playing a little bit scared. What's your strategy in the beginning with the blind solo?
Well, the thing is, a lot of the satellite winners don't play scared at all. They just play to lose. A lot of the people who get into the tournament are home game players, or really small satellite winners, like $20 or something. A lot of people who get in for little to no investment are just there to have fun. And a lot of those people, I don't want to pretend that everyone at the table knows me, but people who do know me, or know anything about me whatsoever, tend to think that I'm pretty aggressive and really crazy. So I try not to bluff those people. And there was some guy at the table yesterday who just plainly told me that he was going to be calling me light, basically. And so I made some really thin value bets against him, where against other people I wouldn't. And once one or two of my bluffs got shown down, then of course I had to not bluff the rest of the day.
Right.
So.
Well, you almost doubled your starting stack, or a little bit more.
Yeah.
Did you just slowly do that, or was there a couple big hands?
Going into the dinner break, actually, I only had 19,000.
Okay.
So, yeah, I went from 19 to 63 in 4 hours, and it was a lot of chipping up. I didn't play a huge pot in any of the hands. There was one big bluff that I tried to run, which I thought it was a pretty good time to do it. There was a guy who was betting, and even when he wasn't the aggressor pre-flop, he would always take the lead, basically in any spot, and he would show up with really bad hands, or relatively bad hands in those situations. There was one hand where he just bet 3 streets really small with top pair against me, and I just called him down, and he showed me top pair, and I was really surprised because most people don't do that. And there was this one hand where he bet the flop really small when someone else was the pre-flop raiser on 9-8-7 rainbow. I decided, you know what, even if he has 2 pair, it's going to be really tough to call me here. So I made a big raise, and he thought for a bit and then made a really tiny raise, and just this guy's never capable of bluffing me here, so I'm 99% sure he flopped the nuts or top set or something, and it was just wow, that really sucks. The one time I take a shot at him, he flops the nuts, so I was pretty discouraged after that. But then I don't know, I picked up some hands, started re-stealing, and the thing is, once I get some chips in front of me, people start playing a little bit more scared. One thing I like to do is get a lot of the small denomination chips out there, and once that starts to happen, people actually start folding to you more. I don't care who you are. If you have a ton of the small denomination chips in front of you, people fold more. And in general, since you're going to be playing more hands, you're not going to have it as much, and then they're just going to fold more, and blah blah blah. And in general, I think it's a big advantage to have all the small denomination chips, because you just start picking up pot after pot after pot, and that's how you chip up in this tournament.
Is it the intimidation of the size of the stack, or is it because maybe if someone gets moved to your table, they know that you are probably in a lot of pots as you're collecting all the small ante chips or whatever?
I'm not sure exactly. I just started noticing this recently. I mean, if you have, there are 5K chips in play, and the average stack is something like 40,000. So if you want, you can have 8 chips as your entire stack. So I don't know. I always feel like I want to have the small denomination chips. Right now I have over 40,000 in yellow chips, which are the 1K chips. So I have 2 big stacks of yellow, which are pretty intimidating. Even though it's not that many chips. It's a decent number of chips. But I don't know. It just feels right when I have it there, and I feel like, you know, it makes me feel a little bit better. It makes me feel like I don't have to like play as, you know, crazy. For me, actually, it actually slows me down a little bit because I don't have to play impatiently. I don't feel like I have to win a bunch of pots because I have this big stack I have to protect, which is probably the worst kind of thought I can possibly have when playing a poker tournament. But for the time being, it's working out okay.
All right, so going into day 2, how does play change on day 2? I mean, I know it's like this is your second World Series?
Yeah, second World Series. I made day 2 last year, but I busted fairly early on in it.
Okay. Well, what was the mistake you made last year, do you think?
Well, last year I just got some hands cracked. I had aces 3 times in the first 2 hours in day 2 and just lost all 3 hands.
Okay.
But
you have a bigger stack going into day 2 this year?
Yeah, for sure. This is the most number of chips that I've had. I don't think I doubled my stack last year at all in the first 2 days. But you know, I'm pretty excited. Blinds are still going to be really small this year because they made us play 4 levels. So 200, 400 with a 50 ante. You know, that's the big ante. So I'm going to be in there hopefully if I get a good table draw, which will probably happen. I saw a lot of the names that came through yesterday, and they're just all unknowns. Like the top 60 people in chips, I don't know a single one of them. The one guy I know is like Jason Alexander. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited. The main event's one of those tournaments where it's got an amazing structure and people who don't know what they're doing, which is a very, very good combination. It means that a lot of good players are going to go very deep, hopefully. It basically just comes down to a patience issue, and if I can get that under control, I think I'll do really well.
Absolutely. We'll look for you on day 2. Do day 1A and day 1B players play day 2A?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
They combine day 1A and day 1B, and it should be a lot smaller than the second day 2. It should be like half as big or something, which is I think is why they did the 4 levels. They want to make sure that you don't get close to the money when you're still separate, which you know would be impossible to do. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. Harris seems to have a sort of a problem on their hands with what they've done here.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we'll definitely see that. And, you know, it's the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July. Are you doing anything today?
No, I would like to go with some fireworks because I'm kind of a pyro, but other than that, I don't have any plans.
All right, we'll have a good one, and we'll look for you on day 2A.
Thanks.
Thank you. Christiana with Jimmy Fricke for Card Fight TV.